Well, hello everybody. Today we're going to be making a few videos here at the Darkness, and then we're going to kind of sort of get back out and go visit some haunted houses and see some other amazing things. But I wanted to, I like pinballs. I like pinballs for a lot of reasons. I like the art. I like the creativity. There's many things that I like about them. And we're at the pinball section of St. Louis Escape. And I even have pinball games in the Darkness. I have 4 of them there. And I think that pinballs have really helped St. Louis Escape, especially when we added the alcohol feature. Okay. But today we're going to kind of talk about pinball, and we're also going to talk about a review of this Uncanny X-Men, and we're going to talk a little bit about why this game has been getting trashed before anybody even seen the game. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then, you know, I'm going to talk about the fact that we also have a Jersey Jack game on order. It's Avatar, which, if you ask me, was a very poor choice of a theme. Just like this was a very poor choice as well. This game is great. I think it's actually the best playing Jersey Jack game they've ever made. And the theming is incredible. It's an A+ game. The problem is the price. When games cost $12,000, and then they want $15,000 for the CE, that's a problem, okay? Because if you don't see yourself spending $12,000 to $15,000 for a game based on Elton John, you're not going to buy the game. And what we've seen from Jersey Jack over the last couple years is they're literally making 2 games, maybe even 2+ games a year. And before, they were only making, you know, one every like 18 months to 2 years. And there's a reason for it. It's because they're not selling any games. And they don't walk and chew gum, meaning like what they should be doing is making games that people want to buy, like Wizard of Oz. They could come back with that. They could come back with some Pirates of the Caribbean if they still have the license. I think that would actually do well. But no, they make one game at a time, and if they don't hit on the theme, you'll see another Jersey Jack game. Now, all of a sudden, miraculously, yes, they can turn the game over, because they're making them a little bit faster than they used to with their new factory in Chicago. And so when people stop taking orders for a game, I mean, they've got to switch themes. So I think Avatar is a disaster theme. I don't think people are going to want it, not at $12,000 and $15,000. I don't think that many people wanted Elton John. I don't think that many people wanted Godfather or Toy Story 4 opposed to Toy Story. And that's why you're seeing the games turn over so fast with Jersey Jack. Jersey Jack, in my opinion, really needs to get back to their roots. It's like when you think about whimsical family themes, and you think about Wizard of Oz, Willy Wonka. I really would like to see Jersey Jack. I wish they would have done Goonies. I wish they would have done Back to the Future. It would have been more in line with, you know, Wizard of Oz, a whimsical family adventure. But whatever. If Jersey Jack has Harry Potter, I'm sure it's going to do fantastic. Matrix, if they have that, that'll do fantastic. And then I don't think you'll see a Jersey Jack game literally be out for a handful of months, and then all of a sudden, whammo, there's another one. But we have a problem right now in pinball, and we're going to go over and we're going to review this X-Men. The problem is that Jersey Jack and Stern both released a game on top of each other. They're literally right on top of each other. And then no sooner than like 10 minutes later, Dutch Pinball announced they were doing Alice in Wonderland for are making 500. So the problem is not that many people are buying pinballs right now, and I am a firm believer that the reason why Stern's X-Men was trashed out of the gate is, number one, the trailer is not as good as Jersey Jack. And that's because Jersey Jack, whenever they license a game, they want to get movie clips. So when they're making these trailers, they have all this footage from the movies. Plus, they do a much better job with CGI. So, of course, their promos are always going to be better. When you watch the Jersey Jack promo of Avatar, even though you've never conceived of the idea that you would want to spend $15,000 to own a Avatar-themed pinball, you see the trailer and you kind of get sucked in by it a lot more than you would for the X-Men because they're showing movie clips. I think the other reason why Stern didn't get a lot of momentum on this X-Men, the trailers for this and Avatar came out at the same time. The Avatar trailer looks much better. The bells and whistles of Avatar look much better. You really don't understand like the playability of the game until you actually see it played or play it yourself. And then what was the first thing that happened with X-Men? Jack Danger and a bunch of guys got on the X-Men machine and played it, and the stream was a disaster because the game is really hard. And I don't think they should have streamed the game with people who don't fully understand the game or did not understand, didn't have at least 100 or so games on it, because the game is very, very, very difficult. And so, but I actually have an X-Men, so I'm going to talk about X-Men a little bit. But before we do that, I'm going to talk about some of the negatives, then we're going to go look at it. I think that the game probably is an awful game to stream if people that are playing it aren't very familiar with it. And with the lack of code that's in the game, there really is no rhyme or reason. It's just kind of sort of keep the ball and play. And I also think that people have Marvel fatigue when it comes to Stern. They've made way too many Marvel games. And then the other problem, I think, too, is every time that Stern does a Marvel game, it's this cartoony CGI. And then when you look at their games in general, like all of the artwork seems to be cartoon. Like you did John Wick, it's cartoon artwork. It should have been photorealism, a little bit more like the way that Christopher Franchi does artwork. I think John Wick would have been better received if it would have been photorealistic artwork, and of course guns in the artwork on the play field. But it is what it is. I think that Stern also is in a rut. They've picked a lot of bad themes in a row. John Wick isn't really a good theme. People have got Marvel fatigue, and Venom was terrible. And when you look online and you see you can get a Venom game for like $7,500, we're talking about a limited edition, okay? You can get it for $7,500, $8,000. People don't want to spend $13,000 for a limited edition game. I think that Stern also has done a lot of damage to their reputation of their company by releasing Jurassic Park and then kind of sort of doing another limited edition, which tanked the value of the first one. I think that also between Jersey Jack and Stern, they've took a lot of the buy these games because you could flip them for more money than you paid for them. So you basically eliminated all of those prospect buyers. Oh, I'm going to buy it, keep it in the box. I'm going to try to flip it. I'm going to try to make a dollar. And so a lot of the collectability went out the window because they started making too many. And I think if you ask me, Jersey Jack, you need to stop saying you're going to make 1,000 collector editions. I mean, we all know that you're not selling 1,000 collector's editions. I think that Jersey Jack, if they're lucky, has only sold out one collector edition. That was Guns N' Roses when they said there was going to be 500. But when you make a Godfather, you should have got the temperature of the room a little bit and realized, hey, this is not going to be well received. And maybe they should have said on Godfather, hey, there's only going to be 250 CEs made. Then maybe you would have sold them. I think the same thing with this Avatar. I don't think you should be saying there's going to be 1,000, there's going to be 1,500. I think you should say, hey, there's only going to be 500. There's only going to be 400. And then you create a little bit of FOMO. Maybe I'll splurge and get the better version. But I just don't think that people want to spend $15,000. And when we think about a Stern, it's also $15,000 because later they'll come out with a topper. At least Jersey Jack comes complete, and the code is usually all done, and it comes with a topper. And then if we come over here and we look at a Jersey Jack limited edition, which I'm going to make the case right now that, I know this video is about the X-Men review, but why is the reception online not positive? And here's a reason. When you look at this Jersey Jack limited edition, the topper's not great, we get it, but it has a topper. The LEs on Sterns do not. You have a bigger screen. You have better CGI. You have a game that's almost fully coated. And look at the lighting on this game. It's insane. It has side blade art. It is powder coated. And it's a rad cal. That's what Jersey Jack calls their games, is rad cal. And it comes with features like this. You can plug in headphones. You can turn the volume up or down. So when you think about it, a Jersey Jack limited edition is actually cheaper than a Stern limited edition. This game is $12,000. A Stern is $12,999. But this game has more bells, more whistles, a better operating system, just an overall better pinball machine for a collector. The problem with Stern is they're picking bad themes. The problem with Jersey Jack is they're picking bad themes, and people just don't want to pay $12,000 to $15,000 for Elton John. It's not on anybody's top 10 list. It's not on anybody's top 50 list. It was just a very, very poor theme to pick. And when you come over here and when you look at this X-Men, this is just another bad theme to pick. I actually would say that X-Men, for me, I love X-Men. I would rank the X-Men as my third favorite superhero. It would be Batman, Spider-Man, then the X-Men. So from a theme standpoint, it's great, but they've already made an X-Men game, and they've made tons and tons of Marvel games, and a lot of them have really flamed out because they're not based on the movies. And so I just think that when you look at this game, and it's $12,999, and then you look at the Jersey Jack limited edition, it's clear that the limited edition for Jersey Jack has more bells, more whistles, and it does come with a topper, so it's a better value. But do you want Elton John pinball at $12,000 or even $15,000? So on the $15,000 version, Jersey Jack, the only real difference now, because you powder coated, you put Ralcal artwork, between the limited edition and the CE is going to be that the fact that the topper is better. Nobody cares about glitter in the playfield and all that kind of stuff. It's just the fact that you're going to get a really cool topper, which kudos to you, you're making insane toppers. But does anybody want to spend $15,000? You look at a Godfather CE, I could buy one of those right now for $10,000. So somebody lost 1/3 of the value in the game. I think the Elton John CEs, once people start getting sick of them, they'll have to start selling those games for like $13,000, maybe $12,500, something like that. You save $2,500 for waiting. And here's the thing, somebody who pays $15,000 for an Elton John, it'll be a home use only. He'll play the game 35, 40 times, which makes no sense. And then he sells it and he loses $3,000. People have caught on to this game, and there's no juice in these games anymore. So when you're going to charge $15,000, and by the way, Stern, yes, this is your limited edition. It's not rocket science. You can see that this game is not as good as the Elton John, which technically is cheaper, It's just not as good. And it doesn't have a topper. The mechs, the lighting, everything, it's not on the same level as a Jersey Jack. And you want $13,000 for this game, but your toppers have been coming out at $1,000 to $2,000. So that makes this game essentially $15,000. That's what this John Wick is, $15,000. I think the problem, if you ask me, with Stern, is they had this plan, and the plan was, let's try to jump out of the pinball collecting realm, because these people will buy anything you put out there. Let's try to jump that and find new audiences. How do we know this? Well, because they go to shows like Consumer Electronics. They go to Comic-Con. Nobody else is going to Comic-Con. And it was really cool that John Wick was played by Keanu Reeves. That was a really cool clip for them. But that's not inspiring anyone, Stern, to pay $13,000 to $15,000 for your games. It's just not. The themes that people who will pay this kind of money for a pinball, you need to nail the theme. I think that Jersey Jack really bombed on this approach, picking Avatar. And hopefully in the future, they get back to making titles people might actually spend $15,000 on. And Stern, you got to start remembering who actually will pay this kind of money for a pinball machine. They're 50 years old. Okay, is it possible that 20 years from now, pinball machines become boutique companies and Stern is not a big giant company anymore? I think it's very possible. Because I don't know that the younger generation who are growing up on Xbox, PlayStation, online Steam games, VR games are going to want to spend $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a pinball machine. So there's an old saying, get it while it's hot. Okay? Stern, the buyers for your games are people who are 50 years old. They're 45 years old. They're 42. They're 60. Do they want John Wick? I love John Wick. They don't want John Wick. Do they want X-Men? They don't want X-Men. Okay, what do they want? They want Van Halen. They want Nirvana. I've said this in another video I made. This is crazy, but you did really well with Walking Dead. I would not want a Scream pinball game, but when you go into any Halloween store, Scream is all over the place. Scream pinball machine would sell big league. It would sell big league. I would hate the fact that you did a Scream pinball because I just can't stand those movies. But I also realized that Scream would sell. Caddyshack would sell phenomenally. Why? Because if you're trying to punch a hole, and get out of just the pinball player people, you got to do something that's very collectible. And you know what's collectible? Caddyshack. Because golf is like the number one sport in America, even though I hate it and detest it. People that love golf would buy a Caddyshack if they knew it was available, because it would be a collectible for their man cave in the basement because they love golf. I mean, it's insane. But theme is very important, and I just don't think that anybody wants X-Men because there's just Marvel fatigue. And so what I think, and this is why I think that the X-Men was not well received, was a combination of Marvel fatigue, the price, and I also think when people streamed it, it seemed like it was impossible to play. So with all that being said, this is just my analysis of where I think pinball is right now. And I do have to commend Dutch Pinball for coming out and saying, hey, we're going to make Alice in Wonderland, this theme that's been bounced around for a long, long time. And they said there's only going to be 500. And they sold them all out in a matter of hours. Kudos to you. You created the FOMO. Hey, there's only going to be 500. So the value could maybe go up some. Maybe it'll stay the same if you decide to sell it. And that's the great thing about buying these machines. You buy them, what you'd like to do is have it for a year or so and then sell it. Because this is one of the things I think that Stern and people like that are missing. These games don't change. Yes, you can change the code some, but they don't change. The artwork doesn't change. The flow of where the ball can or can't go doesn't change. Whereas, like, for example, when you play Fortnite, even though it's like the similar playfield every time, every game is different because you're playing against your friends, you're playing against different people. And I think, Stern, if you really want to grow pinball, you got to figure out how to incorporate this a little bit better. And I think this is what's going to hurt Jersey Jack in the long run, is this is a very important feature right here, and how they're able to put ads on the screen. And Stern, maybe you need to start selling ads on the screen, and that, hey, if the ads are locked into the game, you get a cheaper price. So, hey, and they control the game. So, hey, if you buy the game at, say, $1,500 less, your game has to be locked in with ads for, like, 5 years or something like that. And you can't turn it off. In other words, they could have Chick-fil-A ad on the screen or something like that. And you get a discount for that. So that way, see, look right here, there's an ad for Metallica on the screen. Kudos to you, Stern, and I can go in, I can turn that off, so you can't put those ads on. I can also remove, as an example, in the back end, so it does not show that. But maybe Stern should try to start figuring out ways to sell advertising, just like they do on bathroom walls. I know that some pinball people would freak out by this, but a subtle ad here and there, okay, especially when it's geared towards that demo, that is a very powerful demo. I think they can make a lot of money with ads, and as you'll see, this is something that Jersey Jack does not have, and I think it's a problem. And I think all the other pinball companies should get together and try to create this feature together. So Spooky, Jersey Jack, maybe Dutch Pinball, all of them, Chicago Gaming could have some sort of system like this, and they all pull together and make their games all work off one system. I mean, it would be even better if they could work with Stern on it, but who knows. But at the end of the day, I think, Stern, that's one of the ways you could, like, get the games cheaper and get people, like, wanting to buy pinball games again. Make some money on the advertising on the screen. Just a thought. So that's the reasons why I think that this game, it's just getting prejudged before you can even play it. And I think that's what's going on with all pinball, because people are mad. They're mad about the price. They're mad about the fact that you came out with a second Jurassic Park and tanked the value of the LEs. You came out with multiple essential Elvira LE versions. Hey, Adam, people were mad about that because this game, the last one you did, is the best one, if you ask me, from an artwork standpoint. So anyway, getting over here to the X-Men, I just want to say that this game is absolutely amazing. And I think people jumped the gun on it. It is very hard, but the more you play it, the better you get at it. And I'm going to go on the record here and say that I think this is the single best design of any Stern pinball game ever. And Jack Danger should go down as being the most ambitious pinball designer that Stern has right now. When I say ambitious, he went a little nuts. And he made a game so fast, so furious, and it has a lot of cool mechs, and it's like it has an upper playfield that doesn't have a traditional upper playfield, meaning it doesn't have like a piece of plywood with a flipper. It's a very complex system of routes for the game to go. I mean, even here, he's gone back to what they would do in early pinball, and you can see the flippers are offset to the right. It has this like almost like this mini little game over here to the left, and then they've got this like horseshoe right here, which they used to do on like older games, and they got this like horseshoe, and then sometimes the game will fly off to this flipper, end up over here. You can actually shoot this. The ball, what Jack Danger's been able to do with this game, he's been able to make the ball go in places you did not know was possible, and he has shown very clearly that he is very ambitious. He is very creative. And yeah, the game is a little clunky. It has some air balls. I don't deny this. But that's actually part of the fun of the game too, because you really never know where the ball's going. And there's spots on this game where the ball is literally hidden. You don't even know where the ball is going or coming out of. For example, this whole hand right here is actually a mech, because the finger will come up through the rail and stop the ball, and it will flick it back. But you can see part of the, like a subway here, the ball will come out over here. There's also this one shot in the game, it's almost like a crazy 8, and it's so hyper fast that they've put these gates. Do you see these gates? They've put these gates like all over the place. My assumption is to slow the ball down. And then these two bumpers right here, sometimes these interact with the game, and just, man, it causes havoc and chaos. And then right here where Magneto is, you'll hear a buzzing noise, and that means that there's a magnet going on there, and it'll fling the ball all over the place. If you ask me, yes, the game is very hard. That yes, you could probably play 20 games in 20 minutes. But then that's the rewarding part of the game. When you get a good game and you get a few 100 million and you keep this ball in going for about, say, 10 minutes, you feel like you accomplished something. You feel very like rewarded. And this game is fast, it's ferocious, the artwork is unbelievable. Even though I'm tired and sick of the comic art, it's very appropriate. And if you are an X-Men fan, you have to be very happy with this game. I mean, the foil artwork that they put on the side blade art is insane. The artwork on the side, which is also foiled and you can't see it very good, is also insane. I'm glad that, you know, they did at least some laser cutting on the side armor, but it's got foil artwork all around it. The game is absolutely fantastic. It is fast, it is ferocious, and it has a lot of cool mechs. The only way you can describe this game is it's like a roller coaster ride. It's like a $50 million hyper roller coaster, and you could never get bored of it. So yes, the game took some beating because of all the reasons I've mentioned, but this game is a 10. In design, it's a 10. Yes, there's some air balls. Yes, there's probably a few fixes for that. As you can see right here, they have this acrylic right here. See if you can see it. Obviously, because they were having some airball problems there, so they put this acrylic over the top. I think there's, if you look over here, they've got acrylic over the top of all of this, obviously to keep the ball from launching into the air. There are a couple other problems with the game as well. The ball can jump, and it could land on the top of this route right here, and it can get stuck because the ball will sit on the top of it, and we had to literally take the glass off. And sometimes the ball goes so fast that it will jump off of its rail. I think some of this could be fixed with a little bit more acrylic here and there. But overall, I mean, this game is a 10 out of 10. There's a few things I don't like. I don't like the startup audio, which I can start it right now. And you'll notice that there's been some code updates, and they've changed the audio a little bit, and they've made it more techno sounding. So this game has been getting some updates, but there's parts of the audio that didn't really work, and it seems like they're recognizing that and changing it, which is a positive, I would think. One of the things that's absolutely crazy is there's this bonus target right here. So the only way to get it is to lose your ball, which is kind of nuts. But I can tell you, honestly, and this hand comes down and lifts up the rail. That's actually pretty clever, pretty crazy. Here, let me see if I can play this game with one hand. Probably not. Yeah, they definitely changed the audio on this game. It's definitely more techno sounding.
I'll lend you my power.
Yeah, I'm definitely not able to play this game with one hand. I do have a ball save here. But yes, this game is absolutely crazy. Look at that, I am playing it with one hand.
Splendid work indeed.
And you know what's really cool too is right here on this rail, there's a magnet in here, and it'll catch the ball Another criticism though that I would make is I think this game was a little rushed. The CGI on the screen is not that good. I think that Stern would have been better off, in my opinion. See how fast this game is? My God. I think that Stern would have been better off, at the very least, licensing the cartoon, because X-Men has so many characters in it. I think they would have been better off like licensing the cartoon and using clips from the cartoon, rather than trying to do what they did with Avengers and make very basic CGI. Now, see, that's a Sentinel. Let's see if we can get him to come out, even though I'm only using one hand. There he goes. See, you see the Sentinel coming out, and he's like almost like a Circus Voltaire bash toy. That's actually really cool. And there you see the magnet go off. By the way, I'm doing now. Look at that. Look at the balls being held up by a magnet. Hey, Adam, you want to come play it for me?
Where is it?
Just the ball's right there. Press the button. So I have somebody to help play. Yep. So that's like a Charles Xavier, like saving the ball with his hypnotism. And this is pretty cool too. See how the rail comes behind the flippers, and then it works its way up into this side little mini game. There we go. There's the ball again. This game is fast. It's ferocious. And it is really cool. The theming on it is a 10 out of 10. The playfield design is a 10 out of 10. The artwork is a 10 out of 10. The CGI, not so much. Maybe like a 7 out of 10. Or he just got himself a multi-ball. Let's see this thing fly all over the place. But I will tell you, in my opinion, this is a game that you physically have to play at your house. People have to get good at this game. And this is a game like Beatles. You can play 50 games. You can play 50 games in an hour. Or you can get a lot better at it and have a really good game that lasts, 15 minutes or so. But you'll never get bored of it. Like you would, like, say, The Hobbit, where you could play one game for an hour. This isn't a game like old Circus Voltaire, where you can keep the ball rolling for an hour. And this game is fast, it's ferocious, it's mean, it's lean, and I'm gonna say it's the best Stern layout they've ever done. Look at this game right here, Thunderball. You can see everything is in front of you. Look at this game over here, Stranger Things. It's very simple. It's like you shoot here, at these targets here. I mean, it's like all right in front of you. With X-Men, you just don't know. You walk up this game, you just don't know what to do. This is so well thought out. It's so complex that you're going to have hours of fun. You'll never be bored of it. And so, as we discussed, there's a lot of reasons why all pinball games are getting beat up on before people get a chance to play them. And this is another one where people were really not happy for all the reasons I've talked about. But this is a game worth owning. I think it's the best Stern pinball game they've designed. I mean, like, maybe since... I know people love Godzilla. I think it's more complex than Godzilla. But yes, this is definitely one of the best games Stern has ever made. Kudos to Jack Danger. Now I look forward to whatever is coming next from him. And come on out here to St. Louis Escape and play pinball, where we have 19 pinball machines. And then we also have 7 escape rooms, a retro, mini golf. That's why we decided to go to all these pinballs, because we have the retro pinball, or the retro mini golf. But come on out of here anytime. The Darkness Haunted House is right next door. St. Louis Escape and the Darkness sitting side by side. And here's Godzilla. And this game, when you look at this game right here, yeah, it's really cool. But you can pretty much see the game and go, oh, okay, I think I know what to do. X-Men is way more complex than this. Way more challenging. And this is probably Stern's best game of all time. I think X-Men is going to pass it. I really do. And I think that you should try to go somewhere that has the X-Men. I think you should try to play it. And I think the more you play it, the more you're going to love it. It's Jack Danger's second game. And I thought this game was crazy. But X-Men is just a whole nother level. Jack Danger, he definitely is ambitious. And so I would say go check out the X-Men and come here to St. Louis Escape anytime. We would love to have you. Until then, that's my review of X-Men Uncanny. And I just want to say that right here at St. Louis Escape, we also have an Avatar coming. We've also ordered the new Metallica. So every time the new game comes out, we will have it. We will review it, and we will have it here to play. We only buy the limited edition. So come by anytime right here downtown next to Soulard Market at St. Louis Escape and play pinball. And until then, keep flipping them.